I knew you couldn't resist. Alright, way better. They're good. They're very good. I can attest to that. I can attest to that. They're very good. Especially the third one. Alrighty, I'll call this special meeting of the Finance and Emergency Services Committee to order. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? If there are none. Do you want to do any announcements? No? Carry on? No announcements? Great. Review of items not listed on the agenda. We're good. The BIA budget. And Dorothy, BIA budget. Great. You can both sit here if you want at the table and turn both mics on, if you like. Sure, Dorothy, go sit right there too in case there's any questions. Sorry, this is Pink 81. Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon. God.
The BIA actually is not asking for any increase. We're just asking to remain at the same budget as last year, which is $106,450. Is there any questions?
Do we have any questions? Councillor Bryan.
No, this is great. As Councillor Hyatt and I sit on the thing, and it works very, very well. You guys work very hard for that money, so I'm fine with this budget.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I guess my only concern is, and I asked Elaine prior, just, it's been this amount of money for a long time, and I don't know how you keep it down that low. And I guess the only concern is you have to be careful, obviously you're not reducing the services or whatever services you do to a level that you get in trouble, that's all.
And this year we've focused mostly on beautification with some smaller events. We're not using the funding for the large events that we have in the past. So I think,
Great.
And I think beautification, we've got the twinkle lights in. There's lots happening with beautification. So I think it's really important at this point in time.
Great. Councillor Ballinger, the Mayor O'Connor.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the delegation. What expenditures are you seeing to come yet, Elaine? When I look at it, you've spent $80,000. So what is left to come?
There's a few things that we haven't received invoices on. One of them is RIM, which is the banners. We have not received an invoice as of yet from Sheer Display.
Which is $9,000.
Which is quite a significant amount of money. Yeah.
Okay.
And $5,000 is being carried over to next year for the signage program. We didn't pay it out this year.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, thank you. And by the way, the downtown, the lights, they look terrific. It looks super.
Thank you.
Mayor O'Connor.
I'd just like to say, excuse me, that the town looks great, and particularly now with the snow in the evening with the lights add something to the main street that is, you can't even describe it. And I want to thank you and Dorothy and a couple others, because it's you people that are holding the BIA together. Unfortunately, I don't understand, I mean, being at your annual meeting, I don't understand why people aren't out there supporting you. You know, it's not a hard thing to do, and, I think it's unfortunate that you're shouldering everything, but I wanna say a huge thank you on behalf of the residents in our town for making it look as good as it does.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And on that note, we're done.
Great, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for coming. Great seeing you again.
I know. I don't even get a break from work.
Is there any questions you wanna ask us?
Roger's not here, so it'd be a good opportunity. Thanks, Lane. We're going to clerks, orange page is page 8 in operating.
Clerks, oh, this is a big one.
This one's gonna be tough. Better get your coffee and donuts out now. Debbie, are you gonna stay there? Are you gonna stay there, or are you gonna take the hot seat? You're gonna stay there? What's that? You should be. When you get...
I have a couple questions. Yeah. Debbie, for the election, reserve
Oh.
for elections
Wanna do this now?
and the, election expenses, the reserve is something I know that we put aside every year, 25,000. But the election expenses, that's totally for the printing of ballots and the information that you have to provide to candidates?
We actually have a handout, I think, for that, Mayor O'Connor. Do you have it, Debbie? I know Donna's got it. Do you have a handout for everybody on that, Debbie? Do you want me to, I'll just read through it quickly then. Oh, do you have it, Debbie?
Did we get it all?
Oh, we haven't yet, but Debbie has.
Debbie, do you want me to put a copy?
I'll just let me read through it. I'll just read through it. I'll just read
Okay.
through it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll read you the 2018 budget, then I'll read you the actual from 14, okay?
Yeah.
Postage was $17,000, in 14 it was $15,485. Equipment in 2018 is $25,000, and in 14 was $23,000. The casual salaries in 18 are $20,000, in 14 it was $15,600. You can ask me to slow down if you want. Overtime salaries 2014 were $8,000. We haven't budgeted for any in 18. Casual vacation pay is $800 in 18 and was $625 in 14. Benefits were $2,496 in 18 and $2,275 in 14. Printing is $1,500 budgeted for in 18, and the actual in 14 was $198. Photocopies 200 are budgeted for in 18. Nothing was used in 14. Office supplies are $3,000 in 18, and the actual in 2014 was $1,060. Training supplies are $500 in 18, and the actual was $30 in 14. Miscellaneous was $500 in 18, and the actual was $184 in 14. Meeting expenses were $400 in 18, and were $282 in 14. Subscriptions are $500 in 18, there were none in 14. Legal services are budgeted for $2,000 in 18, and the actual was $4,852 in 14. Consultants in general are budgeted for $18,000 in 18, and the actual in 14 was $12,000. Courier budgeted this time in 18 for $250. There were no expenses in 14. Travel expenses $500 in 18. There were no expenses in 14. Seminars $500 in 18. $151 was the actual in 14. Training is budgeted for $1,000, and it was $253 in actual in 14. And mileage $500 in 18, and $139 was spent in 14. Advertising in 18 is $3,000 is the budget number, and 2014, $1,840 was spent. So the 2018 budget is $97,646, and the actual in 2014 was $86,195.
So it's up by 10,000.
in
And
4
what-
years.
And what was the 10,000 basically?
Well, there's about 6 of it is in consultants. I'm not sure specifically what that's for. That's
Okay.
an increase. That's the largest one probably.
Okay. Can you answer that for me?
Sure, so for consultants for the clerks general, correct?
Yes, consultant general?
So we did the ward boundary review, so
Did the
that-
what, sorry?
We did the ward boundary review.
Right.
For the elections, sorry, so we do have, so we're doing the data fix, so that's consultant, that goes under consultant, and they manage our voter list,
Okay.
and it's all online, so that we put that under consultant instead of equipment to separate it from the tabulators.
So we're not using Canada Post's information, or not
MPAC,
Canada Post, Impact this year?
Yeah, we use MPAC, and then we give our voters list to DataFix, and then they put it all on an online portal, so that people can check whether or not they're on the voters list, and those type of functions. And also, when people call in, it's easier for staff as well to have it all in like a online portal, instead of looking through an Excel spreadsheet of just the voters list.
Okay.
I'll give it back to you. Counselor Barton?
Just a question on the voters list. When I ran, there was a lot of issues with it. Lots of people were missing. Will it be better this time around, or is it still gonna be sketchy? Yeah.
So we get the voters list from MPAC, and it is not the best, because which is unfortunate, but we are on the voters list, and to ensure that if they are on the voters list, it is accurate information, so we can have the best voters list possible to provide that information for the candidates.
It sounds like you rehearsed that a couple times.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Unfortunately, sorry,
Go
through you,
ahead, go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair, not that this is the venue to be talking about the voters list and how poor it is, but it's gonna be poor. We can only do what the public will come in and do for us. I mean, if deceased persons and things like that, we can get those off as best we can, but we still rely 100% on the data that MPAC feeds us, and that's all we can do, so.
That's probably the toughest one when it's someone deceased to get their...
It's
they
been
get a
bad
vote
for
mailed.
50 years, and I don't expect in the next
But we used to go out and
number of years it's gonna
enumerate.
get any better. They don't
And
do
they
that.
don't do that anymore.
So what they do send out mailings ahead of time, but again, the return on those mailings, they're at the mercy of the public to return them,
Yeah.
so.
Mayor O'Connor, were you next? Did you have a question?
Sorry, I just said,
Oh.
there was errors made when we went out and enumerated, went to everybody's house and made sure that they were on the list too. And not only that, that was hugely time consuming and also costly, because you had to pay per name. So, I mean, this is probably not the best solution either, because of the information and how it's kept, but unfortunately, that's what we have to do, and the onus is on people to make sure that their names get on the voters list. Or get taken off. I mean, if
Yeah.
your
more important.
mother or your father or some member of your family has passed away recently, then make sure we know that, so.
Counselor Hyatt?
Yeah, through you to Catalina, now that we have ActiveNet, which I know is a different kettle of fish, where you can remotely access town services, has there been any discussions about doing online voting down the road? I know maybe not for this coming election, but if so, what would you have to do to make that available to people?
I think that's a really great suggestion, and we'll definitely look at doing online voting for the 2022 election.
So would it be compatible with our present system, or would we need to go?
The issue with being sort of more bigger rural type municipalities, that we don't have the best connection in all areas of Uxbridge, and that is a deterrent
Well,
to
I didn't
doing
mean it
online
had to apply to
voting.
everybody, I just meant make it available for those that choose to use it, right?
That's a great suggestion, definitely.
Although, from what I've read, it hasn't improved the voter turnout at all, so. Debbie?
And that's what I was going to, the reason, we have looked at internet voting. We've looked at it in the past a couple of times. It is very, very expensive, thank you, to do, first of all. And number two, generally, when you do internet voting, you try and look at another alternative, which tends to be telephone voting. I mean, nowadays, you don't have to worry about the security and things like that. You can get reliable internet voting providers and that kind of thing. And there are a number of the urban area municipalities are moving towards that. One of the things that has kept me back from touching internet voting is the fact that generally we are the best turnout in Durham region. It's done nothing but go up, except for the last election. It plateaued slightly at between 50 and 51%. There is not another municipality in this region that even comes close to that. In changing our voting methods is because we have such a fantastic turnout. Clearly, using the vote by mail is working for us. Is it something we're going to look at again in the future? Absolutely, we will. But I can't say for sure that even with the next election that it's going to be something we may look at pairing it with vote by mail. But vote by mail it's an accessible voting method, and we've had great success with it, and that's why I hesitate to don't fix something that's not broken.
Maybe in 2022, the rural area will get some half-decent internet.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm not disputing that the mail vote isn't working. All I'm saying is the next generation that's coming up, their life revolves around their smartphone. So if we can make it easy for them to vote, they'll be more likely to do so rather than having to fill out a ballot and mail it in.
Okay, any other questions on clerks? This is Mayor O'Connor? Sorry.
Yeah, just a comment, going along the lines that Debbie has just spoken to, that, you know, when you have municipalities like Ajax, and I think it was either the last election or the election before that, they had 13% turnout. And, I mean, we've always had up to 50% or a little bit over. So, I think that we do a good job in making sure that people have the information, that they're given all kinds of opportunities to vote. We have a great system in place so that people can come in on the weekends or whatever to vote in the, what do you call it? The advance poll or whatever. So I think that whatever we're doing is great. And the only thing that I really worry about, Gord, about if you can vote on phones or whatever, you know, I would like to think that people make a informed decision. Versus a decision of, well, who's first on the alphabet or what name recognition or that sort of thing. And I would think that, you know, hopefully that they would do their homework, but and I think Uxbridge the residents of Uxbridge have certainly taken a keen interest in what's going on in their municipality and have elected, I can say they've elected great councillors since I've been on. I don't mean to say that about myself, but we've always had good working relationships. We've been able to accomplish a lot. We've been through a lot together, and I think that what we're doing here is probably the right way to go in the foreseeable future.
Thank you. We're on clerk still on page 9 of the orange pages. Any questions? Any other questions, Debbie? All right, let's go to page 10. This is bylaw. Oh, sorry, Councillor Ballinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just when I look at that, right now we're $38,000 over what we budgeted for. We've still got the rest of the year. When I look at the expenditures and break it down, really it comes down to property cleanups and legal. So I'm asking the question, is this something we're going to see in the future, and is there enough money set there aside for the following year? Pardon me?
He's on bylaw.
Bylaw. I'm on bylaw.
He's on bylaw.
Maybe Andre, maybe someone
Andre?
could just...
Page 10, orange pages. He's referring to the bottom line on expenditures, property cleanups.
You're sitting there, Andre, you know when you knock down the house and you clean it up, there's a big expenditure. Do we front that money and then have to try and get it back?
Yeah, so with all of, I guess, to try and answer both of your questions quickly, there is a huge shift in, say, there's not a lot of voluntary compliance that is happening with some of these files. So, you know, any contracted cleanups, any of our bylaws, we have 6 bylaws, if they involve us having to get a contractor to do the works, then we recover all of the costs that we've incurred as the township through the municipal taxes, as well as we have an administration fee that we tack on to all of those things. So, because it is quite onerous on both my department and treasury to be doing all the billing and to have things adding on to taxes, it creates quite a bit of work. So, we're always going to recover that, and then the administration costs would be added onto each one of those bylaws, property standards, snow removal, so.
So the event of the money that's been spent this year, a lot of it's always about cleanup. That wouldn't show there now, but you still got money to come back in?
I think there was obviously a major expense in having to demolish the house that we dealt with. There was a major expense there, but the time frame has surpassed that. The owner has been billed, the bills have not been paid, and it's now since been added to taxes. So all the monies we should have recovered, we have recovered. I don't anticipate that there's any other major cleanups towards the end of the year, so that number is probably sitting right where it will for the year.
And in regards to legal, we're using legal a lot more now? Is that why that is?
Quite a few of the files that we have from a legal perspective have escalated to Superior Court. If that doesn't work, then we escalate to, you know, writing a Part 1 ticket, or Part 3, having that person go before the Justice of the Peace. But we've had a few files that, unfortunately, those steps have not worked, and then we have to escalate to Superior Court. So anytime you go up to Superior Court, you're now hiring a lawyer to do that, which can be quite costly, and the bills go up for that. So we do still try and avoid doing such, and if there's ways that we have bylaws that we can utilize powers under that avoid costs, then we do. So I would just say the last year and probably moving into next year, I have quite a few files that are before Superior Court that are more, say, zoning matters, that it's not as simple as we just go clean up the property and add it to taxes. It's more of an illegal use major issue going on that way.
So looking in your crystal ball, do you think you have enough money in there for next year?
I do think that there is enough money, being 40,000 for. We've been able to clear up, and that are you know, being finalized now. So a few of those major files are gone, and then there's a few that we have seen some shifts towards coming to agreements with parties to reduce those files. So I think this year was a bad year. I think moving forward, we'll probably see that number drop quite a bit.
Thanks for answering the question.
Councillor Beach?
Yes, thank you. Under Provincial Offence Act, what is that?
So we receive quarterly checks from the courts down in Durham Region, and that's based upon POA fines, but we've seen a significant drop in the direction that we've got from Provincial Offences Court, how much revenue will be coming in. So unfortunately, we've seen a huge drop from 36,000 to I think an estimated 7,000 that we'll expect for 2017. We did get some answers to why it's dropped, but I haven't got really the answer that I'd like to see about why we've seen a significant drop.
Okay.
They did put out a memo, I think Donna had found from 2015, that talked about an increase in Justice of the Peace wages and court costs in general,
50%.
that they would be rising. In my experience being in the courts, there's still quite a bit of shortages of JPs, so even if they're paying the ones that are around more, there's still not enough of them. So I'm not content that 36,000 to 7,000. they've completely justified why it's dropped that much, but I'm continuing to try and work to get an answer, a more solid answer.
Okay, just one other question, talking about cleanups, and we spoke about one the other day, on WAG. Now, that's gonna come in 2018, or is that gonna be implemented 2017?
I would anticipate that probably it still takes quite a bit of coordination for that to happen. Meeting with the contractor, getting the quotes, making arrangements for that to happen, giving a final notice to the resident to inform them that we are coming. So I would anticipate that would probably be into the new year that occurs.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Hyatt?
Yeah,
I'll go back over there since...
I don't know whether I should be asking you this, Andre, or to Donna, just on the salaries and wages. Does that new Bill 148 have any bearing on that department? Like the part-time employees?
I don't believe it will, because we don't have on-call or after hours, so not so much in the bylaw department.
I'm just curious as to why then that your salary wages would be going up. Like it's 4.2% here for next year.
Step changes. Staff are going up step Donna's just saying some of the staff are going up step changes. As you know, all of our staff have different steps that they go up, and that reflects in the budget.
That's what that is? Okay. Yeah. One other question on fines. You flatlined your hope at 5,000, and yet some years you've made 17. This year you made almost 8. I'm assuming there may be more coming there. Is there a reason that you under budget that number, or is it?
I guess 17 was a great year. I think that 17,000 in 2016, I think I actually covered all my legal costs for our prosecutor, but I think that's kind of a one-off. I'm hesitant in setting that too high, because we don't really know what we're ever going to get as a result of prosecutions, and it's not really to be seen as a revenue-generating thing, the fines you're getting from
other than the POA and the parking, what would come under just fines?
Fines are Part 3 matters that have gone before a Justice of the Peace, and we've received some type of fine as a result.
All right, thank you.
Councillor Barton, and then Councillor Bryan.
Yeah, through you to Andre. Andre, the parking department, we'll call it, is that sort of a wash in terms of revenue and wages or costs? Or does it still cost us to run that department?
I would say at the rate that the parking officer is writing tickets, she's more than paying her wage at this point. We're up in money.
Okay.
So I wouldn't consider a wash, no.
And I'm just looking, the 35,000, was that a full year?
We still did some overnight shifts, so we still have a bit of revenue that needs to come in relation to those parking tickets. So it will go up a bit, I don't think substantially. We wouldn't hit 40 in the end, but it will go up a little bit, because there still is quite a bit to come in.
And this is only to November 29th, right, these numbers?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, with that then, are we making changes to staffing in that department for 2018? Or shouldn't we expect revenue to be higher than 35,000, not 30? In 2018?
Well, I think when you kind of look at, the numbers going back a year before that, I'm hesitant to raise that too much. I think that 30,000 to see what happens with another year where we sit with revenue, having that complete year to work from. I have that established for a couple of years before I see increases in revenue for that.
Okay.
Councillor Bryan.
Through you to Andre. Andre, a couple quick questions. Two numbers that kind of jump out at me is uniforms. We're jumping from 3,000 to 5,000, and I'll tie it into the next page because I know it's your department as well. We're going from 2,000 to 6,000. So we've got quite the jump. I'm sure there's a simple reason for both, so if you could kind of explain that to me, why it's so much.
So the jumps in both departments, in both divisions, is in relation to personal protective equipment. So there are level 2 combination vests. The manufacturers have a 5-year warranty that comes with those vests. So we originally purchased them in 2013, and we were you know, it is an expense for municipalities. We've been quite lucky in that, Annetta, that previously worked for us, Rachel was able to utilize her vest, and there's been some shifts there that have saved us money in doing so. But say the vest that we did purchase in 2013 would need to be replaced in 2018, because their warranty would be voided. Okay.
Any other questions under, bylaw? Let's go to the next page, to animal control. Page 11. Councillor Bryan and Councillor Beach.
One other quick question. I just look at the numbers that jump out. One of them that jumps out is veterinary fees. Why is that going up to 10,000 from 6,000? Or why do you anticipate that?
It is sitting around in 5. I do anticipate that I still have 3 months to come in of vet bills, which are still a bit high. I'm not sure that I'll quite make it to 10, but I guess that was the number that we were comfortable with moving up to. We are still seeing quite high veterinary bills. So.
And what is that? Just because an animal's come in and it's sick and you have to call the vet in, is that what that is?
Yeah, so anytime we have to have an animal looked at, the veterinary fees there, so we're seeing a bit of an increase that way. We've had some upper rest issues within the kennel as well, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That would be the spay and neuter. Was it you, Pam? Go ahead,
Okay,
Pam.
through you, Mr. Chair, to
Oh.
Andre. Non-professional services, what is that?
I believe that that account we use for the answering service. So we have a for all emergency, unfortunately quite a matter that residents from both Scugog and Uxbridge have somewhere to call. And I think that half of that would be covered by Scugog as well.
Okay, and insurance, it's up quite a bit this year.
Just through the chair to Donna, I'm not sure if that's vehicle insurance or if that's insurance for the shelter itself.
Which one are you looking at again, sorry?
Insurance.
Just the insurance line, yeah.
It's the charge from Scugog because it's actually Scugog property, so it goes through their insurance, so they charge us for the insurance. Plus, I believe we also pay for the NASA's insurance. That's in there too.
Okay.
I just wanted to add to Councillor Bryan's comments about the vet fees. They're covered from the animal reserve, and the spay and neuters are covered under donations, just so you know. So they don't impact tax levy.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Hyatt?
Yeah, 2 quick questions, Andre. Under internet, are you expanding your service there, or what's?
We've increased to accommodate, I guess there's a bit of unsure about the size of the building in moving into the new shelter in 2018, so we're not quite sure what, if the security, utilities, security services, those types of things, we're going to see increases in, as it may be a bigger building on a different property. So.
With internet? I'm not clear on what you mean by that. Like, are you installing cameras? Is that talking about?
I'm not sure what is planned for the security of the building, but that would be something I would like to entertain.
So are those 2 together then? You got internet, and then farther down you've got security services, which was increased again.
What I was saying is they've been increased slightly, as I'm unsure if it's going to result in an increased cost when we move to that new shelter.
Councillor Ballinger, then Mayor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to Andre. Andre, when we come to, and it's not a big thing, but when you come to the vehicle expense, if we go back to 2016, you had $5,500, and you ended up spending $2,000 more than that. So I can see you increased the budget in 2017 to $7,100. You're now at $7,300, but when I look at 2000, so I just, what is the reason for that?
It was my plan to replace the animal control van. We have one van that's costing both townships quite a bit of money in repairs and costs, and really should be replaced. Unfortunately, it will have to be pushed out for another year to 2019 to be replaced.
Can you turn your mic on, Mayor O'Connor?
Some of the year, you're going to be traveling to Regional Road 23 versus going into Scugog. So your vehicle expense will be cut down there.
I think that's, I mean, whether if you're on Lake Ridge, then you're having to go to the other end of Scugog, so it's
Right.
not really helping from that standpoint, but the one vehicle is in particularly bad shape.
And that's in the capital budget anyway, right?
Correct, yes.
Mayor O'Connor, did you have a question? Was that your
Yeah,
question?
just a
And
quick
then-
question on software, hardware maintenance. We didn't put anything, or we didn't have any expenses this year?
I did have a look at that. I think what happened towards the end of 2016 is that we got 2 subsequent bills. So what shows up in 2016, I didn't get a chance to talk to Donna about this, but what shows up in 2016 is actually a bill from 2016 for our HART
2017?
software, and part of it should appear in 2017. It's
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Barton?
Yeah, it's for you to Andre. Just a question on your dog licenses. We talked about it, in the past. You're not planning on doing any online sales in any way for dog licenses, correct?
No, I had the intention, and it is part of the budget, that I would like to continue with the door-to-door service. It was quite successful in both municipalities and raised quite a bit of revenue that way. I am aware that there are some services that do the online. I don't know that we've been approached by them. We did have some conversations staff-wise, but I don't think that they spoke to council. But for now, I'd like to continue with the door-to-door, because I have seen a significant increase in revenue, and I think it's helping to achieve compliance as well.
Okay, now, what's your guess on what percentage of dog owners are buying tags, do you think?
As part of that, basically, I had learned was about 12%.
12% are purchasing?
Right. Prior to doing the door-to-door, people on their own regard that do it is actually about 12%.
Wow.
Not much.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of money being left on the table. If we could look at alternatives for either advertising or more than just the tax bills, because I think a lot of people are like myself and don't necessarily read them.
Want to clarify something, Debbie?
Just with respect to the online purchasing, we did actually work with the Township of Scugog a couple of years ago and looked at bringing in a company that would offer the online service, along with a couple of other things. The problem with that was they kept 100% of the proceeds. So until they got to a target of where we were, anything over and above that, then we would get that money. So, yeah, it really didn't work well for us. Now, I mean, again, looking at, we are gradually moving to more of an e-commerce platform, and, you know, future looking at possibly paying online for parking tickets and dog licenses, all those kinds of things, are things that we're looking at off in the future. Bringing a company in to do it, just, there's a lot of proceeds that we are certainly getting more of that benefit from the door-to-door sales than bringing a company in to do it for us. So it is certainly something that we're looking at in the future, but of course it's revamping the website, it's e-commerce programs, all those kinds of things that are in the future for us, so.
Okay, now, have we looked at ActiveNet as an option? I know that's more Parks and Rec, but we're doing e-commerce for the pool and...
That would, yeah, I don't know whether that would work for us or not. I have absolutely no exposure to ActiveNet and how it works. The problem with taking something like that and using the people that have signed up for that under Freedom of Information, when you gather information, you gather it for a specific purpose, and that is what has been elaborated to those people. For us to take that data now and send it out to them and say, if you have a dog, you can buy your dog license, we would find ourselves in a heap of trouble doing that kind of thing. I don't know the workings of ActiveNet, and, you know, certainly it's maybe something we could look at in the future.
Okay, and just, again, there's lots of money being left on the table then.
Councillor Beach?
I'd like to hear what Andre wanted to respond to that first before I ask the question.
If I could just add some comment in there as well. We have seen some pretty significant challenges in trying to set up those online resources, per se. You know, I did come before you guys last year to try and set up online ticket payments. I'm almost a year into that. Our complaint tracking system doesn't communicate effectively with the web-based software, and it's just created like a nightmare and a lot of work for the IT services that we do have. Like, it's almost taken a calendar year to try and set something like that up. So I'm a bit hesitant to try and do the same thing as we have Chameleon, what manages all of our information from an Animal Control, then trying to merge that with another online software for licensing. I'm hesitant.
Okay.
Councillor Beach, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Pound fees, you budgeted for 15,000, and so far there's only 3,000, almost 4,000, well, 3,500. Any particular reason, or?
Not seeing a lot of stray animals that the owners are coming back to get. We generally find it's a lot of dogs that are in and out the same day. Not a lot of people looking for their cats. So that's why there's more adoption fees going through the roof and not so much pound fees coming in, because nobody's coming to get the animals.
And reimbursement from SCUGOG, is there still some money to come before the end of the year?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Hyatt?
Yeah, just two questions. One sort of had to do with that ActiveNet discussion, was I think we need to start looking at alternatives as well, make it easier for people to pay. They don't want to come in here and have to go to the counter. That was number one. Number two, just out of curiosity, when you have a dog license that it's $20 or it's $25, how are we ending up with actuals of like $463 and $481? Maybe I'm asking the wrong person. Donna, do you have any idea why that would be?
Saying why is
It
it
should
an
be
odd
ending in
number
a
when
0
we-
or a 5. I'm not quite sure why it's a very odd number.
I believe the answer to that is if you lose a dog tag, if you lose your tag, we'll give you another one, and I believe we charge $1 for it, for a tag replacement.
Is that what that is?
There you go.
Okay, well, I guess we had one loss, so.
At least.
Yeah, I'd have to take a look into that. I don't know why it would come out as a number like that.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Ballinger?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to go back to these vehicles. It's bothered me a little bit. It's bothering me with this vehicle that the last 2 years expenses have been over $15,000. Andre, how many kilometers are on this van? I mean, I've been through this stuff with a van that starts to break down, and all you do is pay, and you've got another $6,500 put in for this year's budget. Maybe that $6,500 can be applied toward a vehicle. I don't know. So, how many kilometers are on this thing?
I believe it has just under 90,000 kilometers. It's a 2009 Chevy Uplander, but our mechanic is in the process of trying to fix some of the issues that we're having with it, but it's just not a vehicle that's lasting what we expected.
Well, that's
That number
it's 9 years old.
That number also includes gas and oil as well, by the way.
Wow.
Part of the challenge is that SCUGOG has already approved their capital budget by the time they realized that this van moved from 2019 to 2018. So we moved it from 19 to 18, and then SCUGOG had already finished their capital budget, so that raised a bit of the challenge. And they're so what they just advised that they'll be ready for it in 2019. They were planning on 19, and they didn't know it was coming in 18. That's what I've been told.
And keep... Sorry, how many miles were on it, Andre?
I believe about 90,000 kilometers on it.
not that bad. I wouldn't trade it in yet, but anyway. This is, just remember, that is gas and oil in there too, Councillor Bound, just so that, I'm sure amounts.
Clarification along with what Ingrid's mentioned, this vehicle was due to replace, and we do look at trying them in 7, 8 years. So this vehicle was pushed out a couple of years in the past. When we ran into the difficulty that we did with it in 2017 and the numerous repairs that were required, that's when it was looked at to bring it back out of 2019 and put it into 2018. But as was stated, unfortunately, Scugog had already approved their capital budget, so that's, we're gonna have to push it out to next year for a replacement.
Go ahead, Councillor Hyatt.
I guess this question is for Ingrid. I know in past we've had discussions over creating a fleet and hence a fleet master to overlook all vehicles in the township. Is that still on the table, or is
it is and it isn't. Basically, the roads department manages the fleet now. We don't actually have a fleet manager per se. We haven't gone as far as one individual determining who will get a vehicle and what vehicle it will be, because each department have very different opinions on what it is that they need. And if you leave it with Public Works, they'll probably pick a vehicle that they feel will work best, and it may not be a vehicle that that department feels will work best for them. So,
I mean, I understand the concept of assigning the value of a vehicle to a particular department, but when it comes to managing
the fleet technically
the fleet, if you will, then
the fleet is technically being managed. I mean, we've got a mechanic that works full-time for the township, and he assesses all of our vehicles, including any of the new ones, if you'll recall, with Bob Ferguson when he was buying Parks vehicles. Justin went out, did an evaluation on any of those used vehicles that we looked at buying. So I would say that it exists almost completely the way we would want it to be, with the exception of somebody being in a position to say, Andre, this is the vehicle that you're going to get. This is the vehicle I've chosen. It hasn't gone to that, but everything else is being managed.
Well, maybe it's happening in the background, but it just seems like everybody's kind of doing their own thing, you know what I mean? And I know there's horse trading that goes on between Public Works and Parks and Rec, where they swap trucks and all this kind of stuff, and fire. So why not get in the mix, if you know what I mean? Maybe Parks has a use for a 90,000 K moving van, or whatever it is that you're using. It's basically a panel van, right?
My car's got 160,000 on it, anyway.
Yeah, I don't think I have any cars that are under 90,000 kilometers, but anyway. Anyway, it's something to think about, and I know it gets mentioned every year, but we don't seem to formalize it. It may be going on, but anyway.
Any other questions, Animal Control? All right, we're gonna go to, capital. And that is back of the book, orange pages, and that would be page 13. So go to 14 is 2018. I think we're done with that, Ingrid, thanks. Yeah. Any questions here on the capital? It's only $1.7 million in there, Councillor Barton.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the bylaw, car replaced 2007 truck. So we're, bylaw, are gonna start driving a car?
It's been suggested that we should move to a more fuel-efficient car. I do have some concerns with moving to a car, as I do have at my disposal right now 2 trucks, and I feel that there is a bit of a loss of efficiency with my department, because I basically have 2 vehicles that I can do anything that I need to, i.e. confiscation of signs, access for inspections with a truck is different than a vehicle, moving and loading, unloading of traffic signs, which we've had to do on a number of occasions, and also inspections of littering and dumped refuse. I have some concerns that moving to a vehicle, that some of those things I won't be able to do and won't be able to accomplish, and then I'll be stuck having to, you know, one officer call another officer to pick up signs because they don't fit in the trunk of a car.
But Andre, I mean, none of those things are emergencies. I mean, you've got someone driving around giving out parking tickets, they can do that in a car, and if you have a truck available to you, I mean, because someone's got a sign on a lawn doesn't mean you can't wait till tomorrow.
I don't understand what sense that makes for an officer to drive past something they could normally do to get somebody else to do.
Sense that we've got someone running around giving out parking tickets in a full-size pickup truck, so I think the benefit would be the opposite. I think you would benefit because that person who's writing $35,000 worth of tickets could do that in a car, I think, quite easily, in my opinion.
That's the opinion of staff. There are 4-cylinder and 6-cylinder versions of trucks that we could get instead that would offer me the same ability to do those tasks. Like I said, I have concerns with moving down to a car. I also have concerns with $20,000 in my initial research. That won't get me a new vehicle. That would get me a used vehicle. And I don't anticipate, I've been down this road before when we bought the Dodge Calibers.
They were a lousy car.
They were a lousy car, and I just worry that trying to buy a cheap car, that it's not going to last as long as these trucks did. I got 10 years out of these trucks. I don't think a $20,000 car we're going to get 10 years out of. I think we'd be surprised to get 6 or 7. That's my thoughts.
Councillor High?
Yeah, not to beat this van thing to death, but, I mean, you've got it here in your 2018 capital. I'm not quite sure how you're planning to finance it. Where's the 17.5 other coming from? Is that a reserve? You can ask Donna. That's Scugog's charge.
That's their half, and our half is out of tax levy.
I mean, when you say, and again, I haven't examined this truck, so I'm taking your word for it. When you only say it has 90,000 kilometers on it, you know, now we're hitting a tax levy for 17.5 or 35, whichever way you want to slice it. I mean, what needs to be done to keep this truck on the road, I guess, for the next 2 to 3 years? Or do you know that yet?
Ingrid and I have been working with the mechanic. He has taken a quick look at the van. He's currently in looking at replacing all the things that need to be replaced out of it. One of the things, it was estimated to be replaced in 2019. I moved it forward based upon the mechanic's advice about the state of the vehicle and having a look at the invoices. When I totaled up the invoices for that unit alone, for 2017, I got $4,700 that we've spent on that van.
What are we talking about, do you know?
I don't know individually off the invoices, but I know that there's been rusting out issues of power lines. There is rusting out issues with the power brakes, the lines for the brakes themselves, for the power steering. There is a head gasket issue that I can think of. It needs transmission service, full brake service. I think it's not very well made, this van.
Yeah. Well, if it was brakes, I mean, that's a maintenance thing. I mean, any vehicle's going to need that, especially if it's 8 years old.
Yeah.
If you say the thing is rusting out, I mean, that's a different picture, obviously. So, I don't know. Maybe we need to shop for better vehicles when we do it.
Any other questions on the 2018 capital budget? The 19 budget's there as well, if you want to have a look at that. Any questions on the 19 capital? Councillor Barton?
Just going back to 2018, have we looked at the cost retaining its value and what it's worth long term? Like, have we run those numbers, or are we just or low initial cost? I guess I'm not asking Andre, I'm asking whoever told Andre what to buy.
Well, we tell Andre what to buy.
No, but I didn't, so, like, there's obviously a decision to move to a car from a truck. Who's made that decision so far?
It was a recommendation that came out in the pre-budget. And actually, it's a discussion we've had for probably 5 years.
Okay. Again, I just haven't been part of it, so I haven't run the numbers.
Go ahead, Mayor O'Connor.
That I agree with a car. I think that we have to have a truck, for the very reasons that have been stated. And it's unfortunately the truck that we've got is a dud, but, I also think that there's places where this vehicle has to go that I wouldn't be taking a small car into. I would support a van versus a car, just
Yeah,
because some of
We
the...
will have a truck, there's 2 trucks now. The car is only replacing one of the trucks, there's a new truck in 2019. They'll still have a truck. Council,
But right now, we've got 2 trucks.
that's correct. But we have 2 trucks in bylaw.
Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong line here. But I still think we need a truck.
So I guess my question then becomes, through you to Andre, what's the cost of a truck versus a car? How much more are you looking for? Ballpark.
Yeah, I think the original 35 that was there, I think that, you know, there are 4-cylinder options, there are smaller trucks, and those come at less of a cost than a full-size truck. So I think that there's options that way,
So my next
Colorado's,
question then-
Canyons.
So my next question
yeah.
becomes, can you find 15,000 savings in your budget and make it up? If you can, we can move to a truck. Well, you know what, if it's 15,000 and that's what it's gonna cost, right? I'm not trying to throw money away, but I think we have to be reasonable. If this is something that came up during pre-budget, right?
Well, just a minute, things that come up in pre-budget, rest of us haven't been,
Fair enough.
Mayor O'Connor, we've had this discussion for 5 years about them going to a car. It's gone on every year budget, we discuss this.
well,
This isn't the first year.
fine.
I did originally have a car. When I started with the department, we had the Caliber for quite some time. I actually was due to replace the Caliber, and I switched out with building, so that they took over the Caliber so that I had the truck, and that extended some more time. I don't know the comparison of truck to car costs, but, you know, I've gotten 10 years out of these trucks.
Councillor Ballinger?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, we're listening to the department, and the department is telling us that they need 2 trucks. And we're saying, well, you're getting a car. You know what? These guys are on the road every day. They know the job. They know what they're doing. If the department head comes and says, look, I need this, why are we not listening?
Councillor Barton?
Just a question, a 10-year-old pickup truck, what's it worth when we resell it? 'Cause we just sold the Caliber for $500, right? Yeah, oh, it was $350, I think. Yeah. $350 when we sold the Caliber. What's a 10-year-old pickup truck worth?
Well, we usually send it to an auction, so I don't know if we get rid of them at 10 or not. Parks are driving some that are older than that, I think.
Yeah, I know. Again, it's the total cost per year to drive them, from my point of view. The cost to purchase, you know, it's obviously important, we don't wanna drive BMWs here, but we need, it's the cost per year, not the initial cost in my mind. Or the cost, like, I know pickup trucks, typically the lease cost is lower, because the resale's so much better.
Well, by the time they're 10 years old, I don't think there's much resale left, just to be fair. I think the ones that we sold from Works or even Parks, we're getting nothing for them anyway, but, anyway. Well, then someone make a motion to buy a truck. I mean, whatever you wanna do.
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Chair. I'll give you a motion that the bylaw department gets a new truck.
So they increased their budget to 35,000 from 20?
That's correct.
In 2019.
Yes, for 2019?
No, it's in 18.
2018.
There's one in 19 as well. There's one in 18 and one in 19.
Yep.
Councillor Barton?
Through you to Andre. Andre, are your trucks gonna last for an additional year? Can we do 1920, or is that, you know better than we do?
I would suggest not pushing them out, because those same costs that we have for the van, we now have for these vehicles, and we've had them for a couple of years. You're spending, you know, $4,000, $5,000 on these vehicles in maintenance and repairs. We're having leaf springs break, and, you know, the type of stuff after 10 years roughs out and breaks. So, I would suggest them out on several occasions now, at least 2 or 3 times.
Okay. Counselor Hyatt?
When we had Ben in here the other day, I don't know if you were in the room, he assigns the value of the hours of on the road to all of his vehicles. Do you guys do that at, Barlaw? So he can say if
Yep.
it's been on the road for 10 hours, this equates to the value of what it cost me through oil, maintenance, all the rest of it.
Currently do that, I'd have to speak to Ben to get a better understanding of how that works.
And I guess that's kind of where I was
yeah.
going with this whole fleet idea. I mean, if we know that we have a vehicle that's, what are we talking about, the Uplanders, an '09 you said? Which is 7 years, not even quite 7 years. You know, the deterioration of that vehicle, to me, it's far exceeded what it should have had. Now, I don't know how it's been driven or how it's been maintained. Aside from that, as you say, if it's rusting out with the brake lines, I mean, that's huge. You know, other vehicles should last you 10 years if you're maintaining it properly, and I'm not saying every vehicle will, but most should. If this is a lemon, that's fine, we need to get it fixed or replaced or whatever. But I think that might be helpful for you guys, just to know how many hours on the road this vehicle is, and then make your capital forecast according to that, so you'll know after, whatever it is, 20 or 1,000 hours or 10,000 hours, it's at its life's end. Then you can start budgeting for when you're going to need a new one, and it might be more helpful than trying to, you know, pull a rabbit out of a hat and come up with, you know, this year I need one and maybe next year I'm going to need one. You'll know based on your calculations where you stand.
Yeah, I can, and definitely work on that part with Ben to get a better understanding.
Yeah, talk to him and see what he does,
and also,
and
you
it'll
know,
help with your man hours too. You'll know how many hours they are in that truck doing whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Mayor O'Connor?
We are particularly hard on our vehicles, being that they're just driven in town and it's just stop and go. It's not, they don't ever get out for long periods of time or long drives, which does further add to that issue. The rusting out issue, we've also oil sprayed. I believe they're being done somewhere else now, because there's some concerns about how that was done.
Crown or whatever the seal
Yeah.
is.
So I think that our new mechanic is quite involved, a lot more involved with the maintenance issues.
Mayor O'Connor?
Or he knows the hours, is he charges it out. So it's not like this truck is going to be charged out. This truck solely works for the bylaw. So I don't know whether we need to track time or not. And we know that every hour that truck has, it's bylaw. It's not going to be charged to roads or parks or anything else. So I don't see doing it. I know why Ben does it, because he charges other departments. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we have a motion on the floor from Councillor Ballinger to increase the tax levy in 2018 in the bylaw budget from $20,000 to $35,000. That motion is by Councillor Ballinger. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, are there any other capital items in the clerk's department? You can see they go on to 21, 22, 23, and 24. Mostly just the repayments of the reserve out of there, the $40,000 in those years. Any other questions on that? Thanks, Andre. Okay, we'll go to development services. Are we supposed to have anybody here? Is just you? Are you doing a development service? I don't know. Development services, the yellow page is 22 to 25. 22 to 25 in operating. Yellow. We can go to, since Gordon turned off my mic, we can go to 23, Yellow Pages, operating. Yep, waiting for Brian.
Maybe I can ask while we're waiting, that probably isn't a question to Brian, it's to Donna over the salary line. Could you elaborate on that one?
Go ahead, Donna. It's up 1,000 over last year. Is that what you're asking, or are you looking at the year to date?
No, it's at 215.
That's 19.
That's 19, yeah. That's the number I'm more curious about. Is that to handle what it is?
Hi, Brian. We are on your budget, page 23. We just asked one question regarding the salaries, I think was answered. Any other questions? Councillor Ballinger.
Brian, just, if you would, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, what is this septic system program? We put in $25,000, put in $25,000. I haven't seen any money spent, so is it the region people going out? Is that what it is?
Go ahead, Brian.
Yes, it's, the region is doing the inspections for us, and actually, she just emailed me, a list of the inspections they did this year, and, ones that they're going to follow up with. So, we haven't, for any, payment yet, but they've done the inspections for us. I think they did, approximately 150, if I'm not mistaken, this year.
Would this add up to $25,000 for those people to go out and?
Well, it was, the whole process was, compiling a list of the properties that had to be inspected.
Yes.
Then they had to check their database to see if they had information on that, on those properties, and pull all the information they had as far as existing septic systems, and then they have to do follow-up inspections. So that was a breakdown over 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. It was
And the income's been is projected at 22.5 per year.
Oh, I know, Gary, and I just looked at it, $25,000 to go out and do an inspection for us, and I'm saying, did we spend that much money on this?
The Lake Simcoe Protection Act, and then the next round, and after this one is over and we get a period of a break, then we probably will be picking up all of the source water protection ones. The region did those for us, but the next time we're gonna be on the hook to do those ones as well.
Alrighty, any other questions? No other questions of Brian? Alrighty. Go to page 24. Is Brian doing planning too? Okay, stick around then, Brian. What else has Brian got? What else has Brian got to? That was it? Huh? And Brian's doing those? Oh, but well, let's skip planning. Let's go to Committee of Adjustment for Brian. We'll skip that just for a minute. We'll go to Committee of Adjustment while Brian's here now. Page 25, yellow. Any questions on the Committee of Adjustment? May as well move this one out. No questions?
The new rulings coming down that probably, we won't know for a year, but I think that figure of, 50,000, might be a bit high, but we won't know until we've watched it for 2019.
Absolutely. No other Councillor Martin?
Yeah, the salaries in the Committee of Adjustment, is that only to the people that are working that, or is that a percentage of staff?
I think Amelia's included in there as well.
Okay, that's it.
A portion, not all, yeah.
So, Mr. Chair,
Councillor Ballinger?
how do you get a revenue from the Committee of Adjustment?
Application.
You gotta pay, right?
Yeah, there's a fee,
And that's just the application fees, is that what it is? Okay, thank you.
Councillor Barton?
Yeah, with the changes to our auxiliary buildings, or accessory buildings, that's probably gonna drop, isn't it, the revenue?
Well, we
That's
don't
the
know,
plan.
but that is the hope that it will.
Yeah,
But we also think we may end up with some additional variances that may come with other things, like it just, these lots are getting smaller and people are going through the committee of adjustment if they wanna do things on smaller lots, so.
okay,
We're gonna have to play it by ear for a year, that's for sure, with all the changes that are going on, for
Okay.
sure.
thanks.
No other questions on the committee of adjustment? Okay, we'll go back to, Councillor
Sorry,
Hyatt.
I was trying to get caught up there. Training, what training do we do? Training?
training, well, that's, we have that in the budget for, if a member, a new member, like, for example, if someone drops out or doesn't wanna continue, then there's training available for, someone on the committee, or and Amelia does some,
So do they
seminars and courses.
do they go off-site to get this training, or do we train them here?
Actually,
Uh,
once,
last-
2018, you'll appoint, 2019, we're gonna appoint a new committee of adjustment.
So, I think last
And
time
maybe
Liz came in.
2018, so there'll be training for any new members, like Brian said, and it may be that we're going to use some of our consultants' time, like Liz, where Liz would be brought in, but the cost of that would actually be charged back to the committee of adjustment account.
It just shows that you've never used it, that's all. It jumps off the
Yeah,
page. to me.
probably
I think it jumps
because
out though where we used the consultant there in that committee of adjustment for 18 or 2016, I think that was probably Liz, maybe,
Yeah, but there was already a budget in there for $1,000, so,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's worded wrong.
Any other questions? Okay, let's go back to, planning. Page 24. Councillor Barton?
Yeah, again, curious.
Okay, salaries are people that are actually employed by the township, consultants are people like Liz.
Okay,
Okay, so in that budget, Donna, you can probably comment on it, but there's a portion of Amelia's salary. I believe there's a portion of Brian's salary in there as well. There isn't a portion of my salary in it, even though I do spend time on it. So it is picking up Brian and Amelia.
okay,
And I think there's a portion of Joanne as well,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
Joanne is actually shared between Public Works and Planning.
okay. Thanks for the
Any
clarification.
other questions? Councillor Beach?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, to Brian or Guess or whoever, the mileage, it was budgeted for 500, there wasn't any, and then it goes up to 1,200 next year, and then doubling that for 2019.
Actually, the mileage we can probably do something with the mileage in 2018 and 2019. It all depends on whether or not we hire that new manager of development services. So there is that former position that, as I talked to some people about before, we had that position in 2012, and it was vacated in 2012, and we've been managing without it. That position actually had a monthly mileage allowance on it, which is fully paid out, you'll see in 2019 at $2,400. So that's what they would get paid on an annual basis. So what's showing at $1,200 is a portion of the mileage, because the
Okay.
job was only gonna be part of the year.
Okay, and the next question is Downtown Revitalization Committee. There was 20,000 set aside for this year, nothing's been used, and there's...
Okay, so the downtown revitalization, it's probably, the committee is probably not the right word on it, but if you'll recall, we had put money in the budget 2 years ago to put those planters on Lower Brock Street. And then we talked about increasing the lighting on Lower Brock Street, and we're doing a test right now, as I understand it. Public Works has had one new light installed on Lower Brock Street, just to see if it brightens things up. That money, that 20,000 was gonna be used to try and address some of the lighting levels, if that would actually work. We have not heard back from, Mr. Kester at this point, but there was a lot of process just to go through in order to get the region on board to try a new light downtown. So committee should come out, the word committee is, and it say should not be program. there. Yeah, I agree.
And by the way, that money's coming from a reserve, it doesn't impact tax levy. Keep going, questions?
Yes.
Mayor O'Connor?
When you look at the legal and is it legal I'm looking at? No, sorry. God, just a minute.
Legal and consultation?
Yeah, we've only spent 12, it says, but there must be bills coming in.
That's on the OMB. I
Nine.
think you're reading the OMB hearing line, Mayor O'Connor.
Oh, sorry. All right, so that's the question then, is OMB. We put in 50 and we spent 12. Now,
No, so what we've done is we actually have an OMB reserve set up, and we fund the OMB out of that reserve. So in a year when we don't use it, that money goes back into that reserve, if I'm not mistaken, and so it just sits there as a pot of money. If we need to add to it, we will, but we really, I mean, with the SACE application, it was fully funded by SACE in that particular case. Where we have spent money on OMB hearings in the past, and this would be one of them, is for some of the ones like Goodwood Cartways, or
So-
some of those Committee of Adjustment ones.
so tell me please, what's in this reserve?
I just asked.
No.
There's still gonna be costs associated with it.
It'll be a different body, but there will still be,
You'll still need your lawyers and you'll still need your planners. $170, right?
There's 77,000 in the reserve right now. Which, as we know, can get eaten up pretty quick, but that is a reserve.
Do we have a limit of what we're gonna put in there?
I don't know if we've ever discussed one.
Okay.
I don't think we do have a limit. Would you like to put a limit on it of 100,000 or something, Mayor O'Connor? I think that's a good idea. I mean, we can't keep putting money into forever.
Yeah, I would be hesitant to put a limit on it till we see what this legislation
Yeah, just in case we miss it in 2019, what if we said, 150 and we'll look at it again in terms of a limit? We're at 77 now, so that gives us a year and a half.
Well, I agree
You
with
know,
Mayor
so-
O'Connor too, in that the whole tribunal and the whole different, I don't know how this is gonna work.
Yeah.
We may not spend anything.
No, I know. No, and that's why,
So,
yeah, that's
I
why
don't know.
150 might be enough.
I'm good with waiting till 2019 and looking, I think we have to spend some time on this whole thing, but you're welcome to make a motion if you want, Dave.
Well, doesn't look like people are very excited about it, so.
Counselor Hyatt.
Yeah, just under, property standards, why is that in there? Shouldn't that, be in bylaw? Somebody explain why there's a $1,500 charge that's never been used?
could be for fees.
Debbie, do you wanna answer that for us?
I would guess that what this is related to the committee. So property standards actually falls under building planning and development services. Generally, it's under the Building Code Act is where it lands. Generally, the property standards appeals, are as a result of a bylaw order, but that's where it falls in terms of the committee activity.
So we've never had any,
There hasn't been any, I was on it 5 years ago, and I think we did 1 or 2 that year.
We've
There's not very many.
had, a couple of meetings, this year. So I'm kinda
So we
wondering why
didn't
it's
get-
at zero, but
we haven't
it's
charged
not-
it out yet?
Do we pay that at the end of the year, the property standards people? Is that how we
Yeah,
do it?
that's
Maybe we do.
probably
We
true.
pay right at the end of the year, don't we, at Christmas time or something? So there's probably some money coming out.
Some money, okay. Just on the zoning bylaw review, I guess maybe this is an internal charge as well. I know it's ongoing. Has Liz not billed us for any of that? I mean, why is there only $1,500?
Okay, so I think what's happened is some of that money has probably been charged to a different account. Probably under, there's another one here, just a second. Legal and consultation, there may be some of it in there. We'd have to go back and double check it. But Liz definitely, as you will recall, We did the large building piece this year, we did the 2 dwelling units this year, so those were all part and parcel of it. They may have been looked at as more general planning fees instead of zoning bylaw. The zoning bylaw account was actually set up in order to deal with the C3, the C4, and
Yeah,
some very
that's my understanding of it.
specific ones, so we really haven't spent a lot of time on the C3, which is the next one to come. And you'll see that account next year, when she really gets into that C3 one, that it will take off. So her other consulting fees have probably come out of just general consulting.
So
And
may-
just
maybe
so
we
you
need
know,
to look at that as to where that's
18,000
coming
of
from.
that 40 is coming from DCs and 22,000 of it is coming from reserves, so it doesn't impact tax levy.
That's right.
At all?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on planning? We don't mind the ones that are minus 1.6, they're okay. No other questions for Brian then? We're done? Capital. Yellow again, back of the book. And it's just, oh, page 40 is 2000, is that the only one in 2025? Oh, okay. There's one in here for, I don't even know why do we have this in there? Oh, a car replacement in 2025. No, there's 2017 there was 25, but in, car replacement is this 18, 19? Oh, okay, sorry. No, it's 2025. I'm there, it's 2025. Yeah, I think we'll deal with that one later. Is that right, Brian? Are we messing you up here? Looks like you're
No, just, I have 25,000, I was supposed to buy a vehicle,
in 17.
yeah, and I haven't yet, but, Donna tells me I can buy one in January or whatever. Like, I have 25,000.
Capital capital we usually allow to move over, right? Yeah. And it's going through the building surplus anyway, so that.
Okay. So for the 40,000 is for that 10-year forecast.
The reality is we should buy all our vehicles through the building surplus and then sell them to other departments. That works.
That's gonna run out at some point, though.
I don't know. Well, I mean, because our building, we're only allowed to make so much money in there, right? And we have to spend it on building, so why not? Anyway, might be a good source for new vehicles. We'll see.
Animal control is a truck for you.
Works for me. Anyway, that's it, Brian. Thank you.
You can have their Uplander for free.
All right. And they're in the, okay, we're gonna go to, does anybody want to take a break? Do you want to take a break, 5 minutes? Okay. Let me just get organized here, Donna.
Thursday, we're scheduled for, budgets, Thursday afternoon. And, we have to have an in-camera meeting for litigation, regarding an item that's going to litigation. So, will you please, put time aside after the, budgets, or if there is no budget being talked about on Thursday, we still need this meeting. So it'll be a special council meeting.
1 o'clock would work well for legal.
I think we'll finish the budget today, I'm hoping.
We're gonna be at 1 anyway, right?
We're hoping to finish today, we might. Mayor O'Connor, can we wait till the end of the meeting, we'll see what we do, because I think we'll be finished today. I don't think we'll need a budget Thursday, so you
Yeah,
want
but we have to
You're
have,
gonna do one anyway?
we have to have a special council meeting on Thursday.
So I guess we can't do it at 1 because we've publicized 1, so maybe can we do it at noon or something like that on Thursday? Or, I'd rather go in the morning if I could, but.
Well, yeah, but, yeah.
So Donna, let me know just where I'm going here. I am going to filler council, so we are general government, right? Is it general government? Council, treasury.
What's Thursday morning at 9 like?
Okay.
Thursday morning,
Are they all in order? have? Oh, 3:30. So, well, that's fine, we can meet. I'm just saying, meet in the morning maybe. Can we do it today? Can we do it today?
No.
Just wanted to see if you were listening. Wait, Debbie's going. Wait, Debbie's leaving. Just a sec.
I like you on camera. That's your inside
I know.
voice.
We We can reconvene and we'll go to, page 5 of the orange in the front of your book. First one we're gonna deal with will be, council. Who's gonna make a motion we get a raise? Obviously not Roger. Anybody else? Sam, no?
Can we get a step increase or something?
Pretty much. Certainly the best deal for the township, there's no question. Anybody have any questions on that? I mean, it's essentially our expenses. No questions? Okay, let's, CEO. Now we have questions. Can we cut that salary in half? All those in favor? Any questions of the CAO's budget?
But there's more than one person in there, correct? There's Jen and who else? Colleen's in there? Okay.
Just Colleen, right? Yeah, no Jen. No. Okay, we're done with that one then? No, if there are no questions? Let's move on to, Treasury. Treasury, next page, page 7. Donna, do you want to say anything about this budget, or I don't know if you want to do a preamble or not, or are you just ready to go? You okay? Sure. No questions of the Treasury? Pam, go ahead, and then Councillor Bryan.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Donna. Advertising, there was $500 in the budget, and nothing was spent even in 2016. What is that for?
But there's nothing budgeted for 18 or 19.
Yeah, like, okay. Armored vehicle service.
That's our money that goes to the bank. We
so
approved
that
that a few years ago.
That just started, okay.
Yeah.
And the consulting.
Don, you want to comment on the consulting?
Okay, so in 2017 year-to-date, that included part of the asset management plan that we did and approved earlier in the year. So in 2018, the consulting will be fairly minimal, and then in 2019, we'll have to do a DC study. So that's included in the 38,000 there.
And the DC study we have to do every 5 years, don't we?
Yes, so it'll be 2019. The last
Okay.
one was 2014.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Bryan?
Mine was on the armored vehicle services, but Councillor Beach already asked that, so thank you.
So this is through you to Donna. What do we pay overall for insurance? I know we got a bit of a
Big.
a pretty big pop backwards there. Overall, what do we pay?
Off the top of my head, I don't know the number off the top of my head. I can get it for you, but
Okay.
it's somewhere in between 150 and 200,000. Pretty
Okay.
sure that's what it is. And if you look at my budget number, I pay all the deductibles in my budget, as well as the insurance component that goes to Treasury.
Okay.
So that's why my insurance number is quite a bit higher, is because of the deductibles.
But you
Okay.
also appear to get the money they send back to us.
I do, but then it goes into reserve,
I know.
as directed by council.
Okay, and then with our insurance deal, I know it has to do with how many claims there are and whether or not we get money back and everything else. Is there a direct ratio? I know with some fleet policies, it's exactly that. If your insurance is $300,000 for the year and you have 200,000 in claims, or you have 400,000 in claims, your rate automatically goes up plus 25% or something. Does that happen with us?
Okay, so we are actually insured through the Durham Insurance Pool.
Yep.
And so there's quite a few advantages that we share, that we get from being part of the pool.
Mhm.
It is very competitive, and if you recall earlier this year, I believe July 1st, Oshawa joined the pool.
Mhm.
They had felt that, in the long run, it was gonna be better off for them. And I can tell you that, this year our insurance premium actually went down, and the increases that we've had recently haven't we haven't experienced the same increases as we would if we had external insurance, like if we were purchasing from an insurance company.
So it's working very well.
And not only that, it's not only the premium, but we do get a lot of insurance expertise that we share with the region.
Okay. And I sat in on a seminar with them a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So,
Councillor Hyatt?
And what would
Go ahead.
fall under other maintenance, Deb?
Other maintenance is, basically what's put through there is, like, when we need supplies and, like paint and all that kind of thing comes out of there, the work that comes in, basically things that arise over the year, just general maintenance type work, that's what goes in
So
there.
anything that's not in
Contract,
facilities,
maintenance,
plumbing, electrical, or
facilities,
heating?
yes, that's right.
Is there a reason it's going from about 12,000 up to 16? Like, from actuals, I meant, to budget forecast? Are you anticipating more maintenance? It's just for, if you look at 16, you budgeted for 19, you spent 12, 16, you spent 12 almost, and then you got 16 again for the next 2 years.
Generally, the
Is that
targets are usually around the same.
Is that just a buffer to allow for
Yes.
incidentals?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we do have another month's worth of expense, or 2 months' worth of expenses coming in 2 months. Councillor Barton?
yeah, I'm looking under security, but I seem to remember us having like $12,000 costs from Phantom Security this year. I'm just wondering where they ended up. I just remember in the accounts, we've had some large line items that I thought were for this building. Just wondering where they ended up.
I don't know. Do you know, Debbie?
Okay.
Sorry, I haven't had any real major work done, this year, so I know in the past we've had, added some cameras and things like that. We also have, the ability now, one of the things we is to allow off-site, surveillance, so that they can go in and check the system for us and things like that, but really there was no major work done
Okay,
this year that I can think of.
okay.
It may
I
not
can
have been
check,
for-
though,
May not have
if you
been
want.
for Township Hall. Might have been through Bob's. Didn't we do a lot of security through parks?
Maybe, I thought it was Town
Yeah.
Hall, just, again, my memory might be fading. I'm getting old.
Any other questions? No? Okay, we're gonna go to capital now. This is orange pages at the back of the book, page 21, and this is Treasury Department capital. 2018. IT is 36,000. Maybe Donna wants to just tell us what that's about.
2018?
Yep.
Okay, so we need to replace our 3 ES.
Can you turn your mic on, Donna?
So we need to replace our 3 ESX host. Those are our 3 physical hardware servers that host and run the township's 13 virtual servers. They were bought in 2014. The useful life is typically 3 to 4 years. So we are due to have those replaced. The V Workspace, that's the Quest software that we run on our thin clients. That software will expire in 2018, so it's at the end of its life, and they will drop support. So we do need to get new software for those units.
Questions? Councillor Hyatt?
Yeah, just on that, Donna, are there any opportunities to fund that through other avenues in addition to tax levy? Like reserves or,
No,
I don't know what else you could draw it from, but
no, there isn't.
there isn't it?
No.
Any other questions, Treasury? You can go to 27 if you want. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, let's go to, what else was in capital? Corporate department, is that capital too? Town Hall, capital, 2018 project. This has the, we've talked about this, the AC chiller condenser. We're putting 50,000 a year away for that. And of course, a generator for the town hall. This is, year 4 or 5, 2018, where we'll have put $150,000 aside. So far, we've got, this will be $125,000 by 18. And aren't we buying this now? Debbie, and we're borrowing, okay, good. Just saved the question. Anybody know, any idea when we might see that in the building? Any clue?
The report I brought forward, last week, was to move ahead to do the engineering.
Right.
So, I've already touched base with the company, environmental, and I'm just waiting to hear back on timelines.
So we should get it in 18, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Oh, great, great. Any other questions? Councillor Barton?
I'm just looking here under 2021 projects and the virtual city hall, $17,000 for the e-commerce module. Can someone explain what that is? I know it's way out there, but, I'm on 23 capital.
You're on what page you on there?
I'm on 23 for capital.
So that is our, virtual city hall. That is the, e-commerce module for our financial software, so for, Diamond. And we've obviously planned that in the future we would get into e-commerce.
Okay. Now, with that, could we blend animal control into a system like that? Again, we've left a couple $100,000 on the table for people that aren't buying dog tags. Like, is there ways to implement that type of thing into this?
Yes, I think at the time when we go to really take a good look at it, we would meet with Andre, and we would look at his needs and our needs, and we would look to see if that would be suitable for the both of us.
Okay. Just wondering if we should be pulling that forward. It's 2021. That's a long time from now. We'll have, say, $100,000 a year minimum left on the table just in dog tags. Is there, parking tickets, all that type of thing? We may want to start planning that sooner.
I don't know if there'd be a couple $100,000 in dog tags, but you're welcome to make a motion to move that ahead to 2019 if you like.
Sure, I'll make a motion.
If that's okay, I'm just saying
Yeah.
19, I don't know about 18, but 19 certainly, eh?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking we should be really thinking about this.
Yeah, so you're gonna make a
Okay,
motion?
yeah, I'll make a motion now that we move that forward to 2019.
We move the, virtual city in the capital budget from 2019 to 2018.
2021.
2021 to 2019. Question, Councillor Hyatt?
Would our present website, Donna, accommodate that new software, or do we need to upgrade it?
That's something that we'd have to look at too.
Because if we're revamping the whole website, then it may not be compatible with what we're thinking of, so that's my only concern.
Can I speak to that, Mr.
Debbie,
Chair?
go
So
ahead.
that's something in our, with our new, website, that's kind of always been something that's been in the background, and what I spoke to earlier, to you, Councillor Barton, about looking at the e-commerce component, not only for dog tags, like, there's way more
yeah.
we could take advantage of, like online parking tickets, as I mentioned. So that's something that's been a module that has kind of been in the background for the new website. Whether or not our current website would be able to deal with it and host it, I don't know. Probably not, because the software is so old. We have been working with our support person about updating the Drupal software, which is the background of our website. But we're probably gonna have to move to a new one very shortly, and that would be part of it, would be
So we need a new
working.
platform to run it. And when would the new one be in place, I guess?
Well, again, it's something that we've been looking at for the past couple of years to try and get our hands on a process and get a new one. It just unfortunately hasn't come to fruition yet, so whether or not it'll happen in 2018, probably not. But it could be something that we look at seriously in 2019.
Donna wants to jump in on this too, if you don't mind.
Sorry, Dave, one of the reasons why, and we have been pushing this out every couple of years, we do intend to go that route eventually. This module is fairly new to Diamond, and I think they have been working through a few issues. And so we're just kind of waiting and we're watching to hear a lot of positive feedback on it before we would go there, and that's why it kind of has been pushed out a few years.
Okay. Now, this would be part of our internal network, or would this be part of an e-commerce website? Or are they beginning to blend together?
to our website. It's internal.
Oh, okay. So,
Diamond's our system that we use internally for all of our accounting stuff, right?
okay. Well, just one last question, sorry to
Sure,
keep
go
going
ahead.
on this. Where is our website budgeted? I don't see it in the wish list.
Oh, okay. Donna's telling me it's not on the wish list because it's already been budgeted for and it's sitting in the uncompleted projects. Capital.
Okay. Did we
So-
see that somewhere in this booklet, or just because the money's there, it's...
The money's already there. Is it all there?
Okay. But it wasn't listed as a project anywhere in this budget, I don't think, right?
It's already been budgeted for and and the money's been set aside and it's in, let's say it's in reserve for that purpose.
Okay.
So it's already been budgeted for, past
Okay.
years.
Is there anything else, like, is there a whole list of things that are gonna be, that we're not seeing here? Like that's all, the money's already set aside and it's sitting in a reserve?
There's other uncompleted projects,
Yeah, so I mean, there's the, it's the things like the chiller condenser, that money's been collected and sitting in a reserve, the generator, the animal shelter, the Brock Street culvert, it's just things like that.
so you're seeing year 4 or 5, for example, in the generator, but you don't see the previous 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Same thing. It's still there and it'll be there next year again too.
Yep.
But there is 3 years there that we don't see in the capital budget.
Okay, so if there's something that's been completely budgeted for, we planned for, and it's $1 million item, we'll never see it again. It'll sit in a reserve until we spend that money. Actually, we'll never see it until we see it in accounts.
Till the project comes forward, till we're done.
Yeah, and there's only a few, I mean, the items are in the budget.
Yeah, okay. I understand. Thanks.
Dave's just saying the fact that we don't have a specific line item as website, that you can't see the fact that we have money set aside for the website.
Okay.
Do we have a list of uncompleted projects? Did we ever do that? Did we do that? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Okay, go ahead, Debbie.
You have a motion by Councillor Barton to
Right,
move, the virtual town hall from 2021 to 2019.
correct. Thank you. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Carried. Where are we going now, Donna? Guys? What's that? Oh, corporate capital? Page 27, corporate capital. Well, the project, yeah, okay, that's just money paying back to the digital sign. What is it? So what, oh, that's the 18-19? Okay. Okay. Any questions on the corporate capital budget for 18 and 19?
Explain to me what's going on here with this.
We paid for the sign and we put it over 4 years.
So this is the payback.
So this is year 4 and 5.
Okay.
Operating, page 82, pink. This is economic development. I thought we did this already. Huh, okay. 82 pink, front of the book. This is operating. Mayor O'Connor?
Under the advertising and promotion, actually, we're showing nothing,
Right.
and I don't understand that. Yeah.
Okay, economic development had a committee, but they really haven't been very active in the last year, and I don't expect that they're going now in the election. Their primary focus is, which is where that $1,500 comes in, but this year that money wasn't spent because there was a sponsor that actually paid for it. The decision has been made not to hold the Building Business Forum in 2018, simply because there is an election going on, and the thought was that there's not much point in trying to have that fit in between the election, and that all 3 municipalities will assess with their new council whether or not they'll create a committee for the next term of
So
council.
this committee basically's been canceled. Okay.
Well, the only thing that they have been doing, they still want to do is the business visits, but they're not gonna be spending money. They would just wanna go out, do their business visits, ask some questions of businesses, and then come back and bring a report to council.
Okay.
Okay?
Any other question on economic development? Financial activities?
I have questions on that.
We'll go to financial activities, Donna. Okay, financial activities, next page, 83.
Under debentures principal, what's the project? 'Cause I couldn't remember.
Is that the fire hall? Fire hall, Mayor O'Connor.
Okay. And the debenture is coming from the reserves, right?
No, I think this debenture is coming from the region. Is that right?
No, so we pay it to the region, but it's actually being funded through the, capital projects levy.
Okay.
But it's a debenture with the region. Right, okay. Any other questions on financial activities? No questions? Okay. Yeah, we did health safety. We'll probably do livestock somewhere if we can find, there's livestock, page 86. Oh, and then township properties and other projects? Is that the last one? That's it. All right, oh, good, okay. Okay, livestock claims and other. Any questions on that?
No.
It's pretty straightforward. No? Okay. Tell me where we're ripping through. Other expenses, page 88. What is other, oh, okay. I guess just a quick question. Are we done with the abandoned cemeteries yet, redoing those? Weren't we doing 4 of those or something? Are we getting close, Debbie? Should finish next year maybe, or the year after? Yeah? Great. Yeah. Yeah, we did it already. We did it last week. What are we gonna do with the town crier expenses? Has he ever billed us anything? We never get bills from him. I know, he's gonna have a little travel time now.
He used to bill us at the end of the year, and we haven't seen anything come in yet.
For years.
No, I know. He hasn't maybe not been that busy.
He's been busy, he's just not sending his bills in, okay. Okay, next page, where are we going? What is that one, Donna?
That's a mistake, sorry, that should be, it's the, unspent funds from the cemetery that I was told to carry over to 2000 and,
Okay, so that's not,
sorry, that should be cemetery.
So this is a cemetery transfer from reserves? Not,
okay, any other questions on the other expenses? No? Oh, the end of the wish list, we'll do that. I won't tell them that. Okay, we're gonna go to the favorite part of our, budget process. Actually, do you have any questions now before we go into the wish list? Go ahead, Roger.
Oh, you guys might need coffee. No, I noticed under members of council, your budget there, no revenues. You guys are just sitting there sucking the money out and bringing nothing in. Well, you could charge the public for admission to the council. If I may, Councillor Malloy, on the clerk's department, and I apologise for coming in late for the meeting. I'd like to go over the election expenses, if I may, just to get some idea of what's going on here. I notice in 2016 and 2017... I'm sorry?
We're gonna give you a sheet.
We'll give you a copy of something that lays them all out for you, Roger.
Oh, okay.
That might help. Sam, you got one for Sam too there? Here, Debbie.
Here.
Give him this one. Give him this one. That should answer your questions, I think.
Yeah, okay, but I noticed, in 2016 and 2017, you put away $25,000 each year in election reserve, and then for 2018, we're budgeting, almost $100,000 for the election expense. Does that mean the election is going to cost the township $150,000?
I think the budget's $197,000 or something. That's the budget, is $100. We've put $25,000 a year away for 4 years. We've been putting $25,000 a year away for 4 years, and it's going to come in around $100,000 the election. Yep. The 25. We've been putting money away for 4 years for that. But it will cost taxpayers almost $100,000.
Yeah. And just one other question, it kind of piques my interest here. Under corporate expenditures, there's a line there that says property sales expenses. And over the last 2 years, it's cost us something like $65,000 expense. Is that the sale of municipal properties?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then my question is, if there are expenses involved in selling municipal properties, why doesn't it show revenue from those sales?
Reach to that. Donna can answer that.
Okay, so the revenues are considered capital, but what we do is when we get the revenues from the sale of the properties, we offset the cost to sell the property against the revenues, and then the net revenues are allocated by council. So, okay, so for instance, Siloam Hall, the property was sold, and then we deducted any costs that were incurred to sell the property. So those expenses were offset against the gross proceeds, and then the net proceeds were allocated based on council's decision.
Wow, that was easy. Sam, you all right? Okay. All right, we're going to go to the wish list. Does everybody have a copy of the wish list? Oh. Donna has copies here for you. I have mine. So it's important to note, I guess, that at this point in time, I'm not sure how much we've done throughout this budget process, but we're probably at about a 2.2 tax increase right now, plus a 1% asset management. That's about where we're at right now. So I don't know how you want to handle this list. We can start at the top and start rolling down and see what people want to say. Clearly there's a lot of money on this list still.
Some of the things that we can take off right from the
Sure,
beginning?
go ahead, that will help.
If you go to the corporate job market review, you can take that off.
Where's that? Oh, that's
Under
about 5 lines down.
Sorry,
Okay.
under fire.
Yeah.
You can take the $2,000 off for the region's energy request. We were actually able to pay for that this year.
Okay, that's the next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you go further down, the Downtown Heritage District, well, there's a category that's missing, and that's probably on our end. Maybe Donna, you can advise on it, but we wanted to hire a consultant to do a downtown revitalization review. That I would just change the title from that, take the Downtown Heritage District off and just change it to that downtown revitalization. That's to hire a consultant to come in. The Councillor Hyatt had already
I
put
don't
that
see-
proposal forward to council, unless it's
I
showing
don't
in the
see it.
budget.
I don't see
Sorry,
it.
if you go to planning, Pat, up
Oh,
under
yeah, we
planning,
saw it there. Yeah.
Downtown Heritage, so I would just change the wording on that to the downtown revitalization consultant.
Okay.
And take the heritage piece out. The other thing is that future growth study, we met today to talk about that, with Liz Housen, and we'd like to cut that number from 100,000 down to 30. The reason being is we're going to drastically change the scope of that and basically look at phase one lands only and not worry too much about some of the other things that we had planned to look at. And that's all I can give you at this time.
Okay, let's go to the top of the page. The Historical Heritage Reserve, I'm not quite sure what that is. Oh, I know what that was. That was something that came up in council, and we talked about putting money aside in case we were going to help people that did have designated properties, that they could apply to a fund. That's what it was there for. Entirely up to council, yeah. Councillor Barton?
I move that we kill that one.
Okay. All right, the next one is the curator manager position from part-time to full-time. I think that's been resolved. It's now, someone's been hired, right? Debbie?
Sorry, Councillor Barton moved a motion there, so.
Is that how you wanna do this?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just saying, he
Yeah,
just
okay.
said, he
Well,
said
we'll
I'm
vote on- yeah,
moved.
okay. Councillor Barton has a motion to delete the, Historical Heritage Reserve.
Was that the term I used?
Yeah, I think it was. Any questions on the motion? All's in favor? Carried. Okay, curator manager, part-time to full-time position at the museum. What would you like to do with that? We've already hired somebody, haven't we? Yes. So this is done? Okay. And the person appears to want to be part-time. So would someone like to make a motion to get rid of that? Use a nice word. Councillor Bryan? Yeah, okay. Do you want me to put 18 and 19 on all these? Or is this specifically 18? Okay. This one was both years? That's why you're saying that? Okay. Oh, because it's down the bottom as well. Okay. So, the motion is to delete, the curator manager full-time position from 2018 and 2019 from Councillor Bryan. All's in favor? Carried. Did you get that, Debbie, both years? Oh, that's the exercise, what is that? There it is. Okay, the, fire, the trees. I thought we dealt with this already. So did I, tell you the truth. Improvements and
Yes.
aren't we putting some there already?
I think this request actually came from Councillor Hyatt to add additional trees to the fire hall property. This came out of, some of the stuff has actually come forward from previous council meetings, and that's where this has come from. We
Oh, we
did
have
plant,
added
we
trees
did
already,
plant
right?
some trees this year already, but I think Councillor Hyatt, you were suggesting that additional trees be planted again in 2018.
I think both Mayor O'Connor and I had expressed this back, I don't know, months ago now. Once the fire hall was occupied, obviously, we would have a better idea as to how this thing was gonna look. So I forget how long ago that was. It was quite a while ago that we made that motion to add it to the 2018 budget, so I'm not sure why Phil didn't have this in his other budget, but anyway, that's another story.
Typically, the fire department has not been planting trees, because if you think about their previous property, there really wasn't anywhere to put them. But given that there is a new location, I think that's why it's showing up on the wish list as opposed to the operating budget for the fire hall.
So where is it
Is there anything in
in this budget for the lighting to be changed?
It's two down, isn't it?
Yeah, the lighting is on the, it's a couple down from there, Mayor O'Connor.
Pardon me?
It's just 2 down from there, exterior lighting, 25,000.
Okay. Well, I personally think that we should do one or the other. 1 year and then add it to the,
Is it really-
and I think the lighting is probably causing at least one person a lot of grief. Why wouldn't we just leave the trees until 2019 and look at it? And do the exterior lighting, which is really affecting a couple of the residents, but, I mean, that's up to Councillor Hyatt, it's his
I
ward.
think part of the trees was to redirect the pre-existing trail that was there. It wasn't all to do with the lighting issue. I guess you're familiar with it when you come out, past the end of Weller Court, you do a right turn and go down the back of those properties. Bob has managed to find, some savings from this year, so he started the process. I think part of this 15 was to deal with the balance of it, and I don't have Bob here, obviously, so I'm not sure where he was exactly planning to plant these, but I think that was part of the overall plan.
I gotta ask the question, how can we spend $25,000 on new lights in the parking lot? There's like 4 lights in there. We're just changing the fixtures. Like, I don't know where these numbers are
I don't know
coming
where
from.
the
That's
number
ridiculous.
came from either. For whatever reason, the coach lights were installed at the rear of the hall, and as we all know, they bleed light considerably. So, again, I don't know, maybe, we could ask Phil where he came up with that 25,000.
I don't think it was Phil, it was somebody else.
If it was a matter of changing the ballast or whatever,
I was just reminded, let's go back to trees for a minute. I was just reminded that some of that was for bank stabilization.
That's right, yeah. But there's also some in there to redirect the trail. I don't know what the name of it would be, part of the Quaker Trail, but.
Okay, so which one are you on now? Do you wanna vote?
Let's do with trees.
Well, can we get a definitive
There's a
number
couple,
on
well,
the
there's a
lights?
couple questions here first. Councillor Barton, then Councillor Bryan.
Okay. I think without the staff members here, we should have put a bunch of things into a column where we don't have enough information that we'll make sure we
That's
get
fine.
the data from
Okay.
whichever department head it is, just so we're not guessing.
So how about
on
we
what-
take these 3 and we'll move them, we can move them to another date, maybe if it can't be Thursday, it can be maybe another time, whenever we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And get staff to come out for those 3.
Do
Would
you
that
know what
be all
the
right?
stairs are? I wasn't
The
aware
stairs,
of
the
them.
problem with the stairs, I think, is my understanding is that you can park in the visitors parking, but then you walk to the back of the building to get on the stairs to go back, and I think they were talking about putting a set of stairs right at the entrance.
Yeah, I wasn't involved with that.
It's just something I remember coming up a year or so ago, but would you like to do this? We'll just, I agree with Councillor Barton, if staff isn't here, that might apply to a number of things here, actually.
If I may, Councillor, that's what I was gonna suggest. There's gonna be a lot of things, I think, as we go through this list that we're not gonna be able to have the answers for. So I'm wondering if this isn't premature to go through this list.
Yeah, I tend to agree, especially looking at some of, there's a lot of.
Because some of these
public-
things,
Thursday anyway.
these things are big ticket items, and I would rather make the right decision based on the information we have, or we will have, rather than kind of guessing and saying, well, I think this is it, and I think this is that. I think these are big ticket items, it's a lot of money. I would suggest that maybe we kind of hold this one off.
Yeah.
Just
Okay,
my 2
I
cents.
think that's probably a good idea. Councillor Barton?
So I agree with Councillor Bryan, except that why don't we run through the list and move as many as we can to the staff side. There are some that we can talk about. Just that way we're all more prepared. Is that
Well,
fair?
I think until we have staff here, we're not prepared though, Dave.
No, but there's a number of items that we know enough about.
Okay, throw one at me, let's hear one you talk
So
about.
like Museum Dog Park, you know as much as anyone else about that one, I would think. Cycling plan, I would know as much as
What's in
anyone
the
on
dog?
that one. Museum Dog
Parking lot
Park,
expansion.
parking lot paving expansion, $20,000, line number 23.
I don't agree with paving it.
I don't think it needs to be paved, and it's not a dog, I don't think it's a dog park specifically issue, I think it's,
I
the
think we
museum
need-
asked for it last year, right, for 40, so.
Yeah.
I suggested to Amanda that they put down the recycled asphalt in that parking lot, and they could've, I don't know why they don't, it'd be a lot cheaper than
They
paving.
did.
So, Pat, I
No,
agree,
not
I just
parking.
think we should
Paige
go
was
down
in
and
there the other day,
pull those
doing
items
Only in the
out.
dog park, not,
You gotta, that museum piece, I think is talking about the recycled asphalt, but the problem is that there is a concern that there's not enough parking between the dog park
Exactly.
and the museum. And really, no different than with roads, we build a road, we gravel them, and we get them nice and stable before we pave them. So maybe you say
But
that we're
you're-
prepared to look at putting $20,000 in expanding the parking lot and not deal with paving at all, and just say you wanna expand it. I think the concern is there's not enough space.
How often are people parked at the museum? I mean, there's a couple times a year where there's events there, it's not like it's every day by any means, there's no one there.
Well, you
There's
know
Heritage Days and there's a Halloween night, that's it, so,
There's more than that.
what? No.
well,
There's weddings there, they had 5 weddings there this year, or 6, so figure out, there's a wedding during the summer. Then there's the, Heritage Days, then there's the, what do you call that?
Rev it up.
Then there's the two or three church services.
And then there's the car
They do.
rally, if they continue with that. And from what I gather is that this new curator, that there's gonna be a lot more programs and events, and it's gonna become more frequent. And there was even other events that were their bookings.
Well, I think what we should do with that one is say museum, take out the dog park, and parking lot, take out paving, and just put expansion. Yeah.
Who put the 20,000? Do we know who put that? Was that Amanda put that in?
I think Amanda worked with Ben on that to get a number.
Okay, anything else in here? Or do you want, well, well, do you want me to make a motion on that 20, or what do you want me to do? Yes?
I don't know what we're doing, so.
Oh, okay, I guess we've just approved the, $20,000 expansion to the museum parking lot. And I need somebody to make that motion. Councillor Barton, you have a question?
Well, yeah, if we're not gonna put asphalt on it, is $20,000 excessive?
Well, we're right back to square one again. I don't have the answer to that question. It wasn't my number, so.
Yeah.
I think,
Let's
guys,
wait for staff.
we're better off leaving all of this until we have some answers. 'Cause what we'll be doing is we're going back and discussing them all again.
I agree with you.
Okay.
So let's do it on Thursday. Get the staff we need here, let's do it Thursday.
So we'll get staff in order of the, we'll have to make sure most of our staff is available on Thursday afternoon. It'll involve just about everybody.
Lose, they lose, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, it's just about everybody's involved.
Well, but, okay, so, I wanna know who is available Thursday and what time are you available? There was a budget meeting scheduled
For
for
1 o'clock.
Thursday.
Yes. For 1 o'clock.
Right.
1 to 5.
Now, who's gonna be here?
So, I'll do my best to get back. There's something that came up that I can't, there's no way I can move.
All right, well, hang on a sec. Do you wanna go next Tuesday?
No, I want off.
Well, I'm just asking, if there's no, people aren't here on Thursday, are they more? Pardon me?
On Thursday or on Tuesday? Thursday? So, and I can be here Thursday at 3 for sure.
Oh, yes, it will. Yes, it will. Well, we've published 1 o'clock.
Yeah, so we have an in-camera and we have the budget, so as long as
So,
you
can we make the in-camera a little earlier, Mayor O'Connor? We'll start the in-camera earlier and then get into the budget, 'cause I think we'll be an hour and a half on this. 2 hours, doing the wish list for sure.
3 o'clock, right?
So that gives us 2 hours.
Pam said she could be here for 3:30, but she might be able to be here for 3.
Oh, we'll be over by then.
So, let's call it for 3 o'clock.
Well, I have a meeting at 3:30. We have an age-friendly committee meeting at 3:30. I'll try to move it, but we already published 1 o'clock, though. I don't think we can change it to 3 o'clock now. We've published every day from, I guess it says if necessary.
So-
You tell us, Debbie.
We have the budget meeting advertised for 1 o'clock if needed. We can advertise and go ahead and say that the budget meeting is on. So at 3 o'clock, are we calling special council for 3 o'clock?
No, we were calling budget.
Calling budget for 3 o'clock.
Okay, so when is special council? 'Cause I need to give
After.
notice on that.
Or before.
Do it before. Dave can't.
Sorry, I can be here at 3. If you wanna move it that way, that's fine. So now
I'm
it should be-
suggesting, since we published 1 o'clock, let's start the budget at 1. We should be finished hopefully by 3.
Two of them won't be here. 3 of them won't be here.
Well, they'll be here for the in-camera, that's
It
not.
is, but it is what it is.
comments, though.
It is what it is, I can leave my
But
comments.
3 people won't be here for the budget, 3 out of 7.
Well, we knew it was 1 o'clock 2 weeks
Well, it's
ago.
not the budget, it's the wish list.
Didn't
Budget's
Pam say she
done.
can't get here till 3:30?
Right.
The budget starts at 1.
But,
Fred?
but Councillor, we're just talking about wish list, does that need to be done Thursday, or can we push that one off? Right, if you wanna wait till all that's done,
Sorry,
because
Dave, you
basically the
can't be here
budgets are
till
done.
3:30?
So I have an
Or 3
appointment
o'clock?
that starts at 8 AM, and I just don't know when I can be back, that's all.
And Fred's gone by 3. Is that right, Fred? You can't be here until 3.
Correct, I finish up at 2 o'clock, so I can be here at 3.
So Pam and Fred are away, and maybe Dave away for the budget at 1.
So it's supposed to be at 1, you were coming anyway.
Correct. Is it necessary that we do this?
Yeah.
Now, can we not do it at another time? At one time, we thought Pat wasn't gonna be here.
No.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if it's necessary that we have to do it Thursday.
If you want, we can move it to January the 16th if you want. I guess not.
I'll
If
move
we
that
go
we
January, if we go January the 16th, then when would we finish the budget? When would we be finished? We'd go to committee on what date then? 29th to committee.
Well, just a minute,
Okay.
why do we have to push it off to the 16th?
I'm not, because it was only because it's a scheduled budget day. There's nothing scheduled for the budget between the 14th and the 16th of January.
Okay,
There
so why
might be a
can't,
day we can do it, I'm not sure.
why can't we look at the 9th?
Tuesday. Does everybody want to check their schedules for the 9th of January and see if we can all make it?
Mr. Chair, we could go ahead and advertise that, obviously there's enough time, but
Yeah.
it wasn't one of our regularly, scheduled budget meetings. They started the 16th and the 23rd.
Right.
Okay, leave it.
Right, but no, we can go to the 9th, Mayor O'Connor.
No,
can't?
it doesn't,
I can advertise.
Yeah, we
I'm
have
just-
lots of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to the 9th, because I think we'd like to get it done.
Okay.
Okay, that's a Tuesday, and it'll be 1 o'clock? Is that okay? When are we gonna do the we're gonna do that this
well, we
Thursday
have
still?
to do this still on Thursday. The lawyers need an answer. I mean, nothing like leaving it till the last minute to tell us, but, so if everybody can be here by 3, we'll have an in-camera by 3, probably a special counsel. And we'll deal with it, and then it shouldn't be very long, but,
Okay,
so the majority can be here on Thursday,
Thursday at 3 o'clock.
at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
I'll tell you
Okay.
ahead of time, I have to leave by 5.
Oh,
Okay.
you'll be out of here long before that.
And we won't be returning to budget
I
till
have
January the
people
9th.
coming.
So we'll
Okay.
cancel those dates, Debbie, you'll cancel those other ones, obviously, up until the 9th?
Yep.
The 16th. Oh, yeah,
Sorry,
we'll have to cancel.
sorry,
Thursday.
Mr. Chair, I didn't hear what you said.
Sorry, we only have to cancel December the 14th, right, and advertise the 9th, right, okay.
Try and keep our conversations to 1.
If there are any other issues that we can resolve between now and the 9th with regards to the budget, if you've got any other issues you want to deal with, speak to Donna or myself, and we'll try to clear up as much as we can before we get there, okay?
But I think it's important, if I could suggest that all staff are here, that
Yeah, definitely. That's
that
the day we have to book.
we need to, have answers.
And actually, the 9th gives them lots of time to book it, so I think
Yeah.
we should be good.
Good.
And hopefully we won't be too long at that day, but. Okay, that's it. No other questions from the press? No other questions from the residents, again? Silent majority? Alrighty, someone want to make a motion to adjourn? So moved.
Okay.
getting up. I'm getting a hip and that's what I.
Yeah, we really need staff for something.
That's why I got on your hip.